It always comes to this. More nice. Hello there guys, here to do another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I had showed off the chest piece. It was only just a few days ago, so there hasn't been much change, but it's peeled now. So I was saying that it was going to peel, and I was saying that it wasn't going to change much. As you can see, it is already peeled now, and like I said, hasn't changed much. So not really much need to talk about that. Obviously all the colors stayed the way that it was, and it should be no shock by now. Still think that we're probably going to do one more session up on the brain area, and then as things are settling in and we're working on the sleeve, which has had a second session on the boulder lines, we'll probably end up hitting that periodically and just kind of adding things and working away at it. It's been 22 sessions on the chest piece, yet in some ways I still feel oddly like we have barely worked on it, which is an odd thing to say considering we have had 22 sessions working on it. But in my own mind, like, we spent so much more time working on my torso, and I had my old chest piece also for such a long time that this still feels brand new to me. And with color on black work, it really does scale with how much effort you put into it. So the more we do, the better it gets, and I see that visually. I see a visual reward every time we work on it. So in my mind, we can do as much or as little as we want going forward, and this piece can just keep getting better. That's kind of what I'm liking about this work in general, because I had another session today, and we did the bullet lines on the roses on this arm. We didn't do the hand. We will do the hand. It's just the hand is still healing from the red. It's a little less scabby than it was last time, but it's still got that sheen of like healing tissue and scabby bits here and there. I actually had 2 actual scabs this time, probably because we didn't wait all that long in between passes. It was just over a month. But that's okay. I'll probably go 2 months before we hit it again. I'm not indifferent to my skin. It's part of why I've been able to do as many layers as I have, is because I'm pretty mindful of leaving time for things to heal. And the only times that I've ever rushed things, it's been for the worst anyway. If the tissue isn't healed fully, then you won't get a great result from the next pass anyway. So it really does pay to be to pay respect to your body and what it's kind of asking for from you. So with that being said, we did all the bold lines, the black lines on this sleeve on the roses. So that was with Terry. Bit bloody and goopy right now. This is at the end of my work day, and we finished this around 12:30 or 1 today. So these lines aren't going to be this black when they heal. They'll probably be something like that though. They are going to stay fairly dark, and because they're very thick, you will be able to see them very clearly. We'll get them in this rose on my hand, and it'll make quite a bit of difference. I don't know if we need to do them in my neck. Obviously, I'm a make work project, so it is quite possible that we'll do them, but I don't know if there's as much space for them either. Everything on my neck is spaced a little closer together, and the line weights, they've held a little bit better. They're a little thicker looking anyway. So if we do that, it would just be in interest of tying it in. We most likely will try and do something similar to that at some point, but I don't think that they can be quite as thick without making everything too congested. So it might be some version of that, but not quite the same. That being said, we'll do another session another day. We're going to do sort of the same line width as we have on the inside of the roses on the thorns, so that they're not quite as pronounced, but still fairly pronounced. That will help them a little bit, but I don't want to help them as much as the roses, because again, the roses should be in the foreground, the thorns are background elements, and so really trying to pull things apart as much as possible. I don't want to leave them behind completely though, because I want them to have some semblance of the same structure. So the black outlines did exactly what we expected in creating even more definition in these. They will get to a place where it is impossible to even imagine that this was a blackout sleeve at some point. It's already kind of at that point, but as we continue to make modifications, it is less and less believable to the masses. In other words, anyone who comes into the shop here would never assume that this sleeve was ever black, unless I showed them the step-by-step. That being said, some people have wondered if, because I say so much, or I've gone so far away from blackout as itself in the last few months, if it's because I don't like the blackout, or if I did the blackout just to do tattoos over top of the blackout. And the answer is a very clear no. Like, I liked the blackout a lot for its own purposes, and I enjoyed the blackout tattoo. I think I sat with my blackout technically longer than I sat with my first completed suit, because before my full suit was even finished the first go around, the right sleeve bothered me so much the way it was finished that it was blacked out before my legs were finished. So I had elements of blackout in my suit to some degree or another, more or less all along. In every finished version of my suit, there's some blackout to be found. The right arm was, more and more blacked out as time went on, but even in my finished first suit, there was blackout. So this is not because I don't like blackout, it's again because I like tattoos. I don't think that that's going to stop at any point soon. I can see myself maybe within 10 years to a place where I only get tattooed like once a month or something, but that's not coming anytime soon. I am enjoying the process more and more, but there are days that I don't want to do it. So today was a little more painful than it probably was, because I just wasn't into it. So mindset makes a big difference for me. If I'm really feeling it and I really want to get tattooed that day, then it doesn't matter what we're doing. You could tattoo my anus and I wouldn't care. But if I'm not into it, even getting some lines set on my arm feels like hell. So even though I would never complain in the moment, and you'll never know when I'm in pain, today I didn't really love it. I wasn't really into it. I want it done, so I'm gonna sit for it, right? It doesn't matter whether I'm having fun or not. That's the difference in me from a lot of people with this is, and not to say that I'm better or anything like that. It's more that, like, I see my tattoo journey as a greater goal that I work towards bit by bit. I'm never running to the end. It's always a marathon. So when you're doing a marathon lifestyle with anything, it means playing on the days you don't want to as well. Like for example, I knew since I was getting my arm tattooed today, and this will touch upon another thing people are asking me frequently now. Since I was getting the whole stretch of my arm tattooed, it meant that I would be taking at least tomorrow off working out. So I had to do most of my workout in the early half of my week. That means I worked out on the same morning that I got my chest tattooed, and then I worked out the next morning after, because my chest tattoos are pretty easy to work out with. That also meant that I worked out the Wednesday morning, which is yesterday, the day after I got my chest tattooed, and I worked out this morning as well. I crammed all of my workouts in this week before my sleeve, essentially, because anytime I'm getting my arm tattooed, I know I'm not going to work out the next day. So That's discipline. Is I didn't really want to work out this morning. I didn't want to get out of bed at 4:15 this morning, and that's when I get up every day. But I knew I needed to bang out my workouts and not half-ass them, because I'm not going to be working out tomorrow. I'll probably be working out again by the day after, though. And if I'm not full-on weight training, I will at least be doing my 300 push-ups a day that I do mandatory, and I do weighted pull-ups and chin-ups, whether I do weight training or not. Those are kind of just standards. I do those every day, unless I'm healing a hand tattoo or otherwise, but then I make up for it the rest of the week. That's how I am with tattoos too, though. I just basically applied everything that I learned about my tattoos, like the marathon, to my fitness, and that means that you do it even when you don't want to, because overall you want to. Like, that means that even though you're going to have lots of days when you're feeling like a bitch and you're not wanting to sit for it or go through the process, whether that be working out or diet or tattoos or whatever the fuck it is, it means that you go through it because in your overall, in your well-being as a person, you want those things in your life. You want that as a whole. It means you have to accept not wanting it sometimes and doing it anyway. So, for example, there's no way to get this chest piece without that thought process. We're now having guys wanting to travel to our shop here and do tattoos like what Terry and Rick and I have done, but it's hard because a lot of them are wanting to fly in here and book a hotel room and do it in one session, and that's not how this stuff works. It has to be done as a marathon. You can't do this as a sprint. This tattoo cannot be done in one session anyway. We're looking at lining session for each rose. Let's just go rose for rose here and break this down. Each of these roses was lined. Then we did black and white shading. Then we did a pass of white over top of the old white. Then we did white highlights. Then we did black thick lines around them. That's 5 sessions at least. And that doesn't include the red background that was 2 passes with some touch-ups. So no part of this tattoo is doable in a session. So unless you're planning on moving here, it's really hard to do that. Part of what my process that I've been showing you guys that have been watching this channel is meant to instruct is that my guys never did anything like this before they tattooed me. So there are guys in your area that are capable of doing this as well. So don't think that it means you have to come see Terry or Rick because they've done it before. What it actually means is that there's someone in your area that can do this for you if they're willing to try and learn, and if you're willing to be patient with not so optimal results immediately. It's going to take more than one pass to do this work. As anything good in life, if it's worth it, it's worth taking the time to get there. Anyway, bit of a different spirit than yesterday's, but yeah, we had a good day here. This took about 3.5 hours, believe it or not, to do all of these. So, and when these settle, right now the lines are a little too dark, I think. It makes everything else look faded by comparison. But when this settles, it will be quite a bit better. It will be quite a bit, like the bright will stand against the dark better than it is currently. Just because I know the nature of fresh black, that's not going to stay as dark as it is. And so everything will look in better proportion when it heals. Because when I first seen this, I was thinking, it's a good thing it won't stay that black because it makes all the shading look washy. I might be overthinking it. Who knows? I'm always extra critical of my own work. I know it seems like I can be a prick on Remy Reacts, but I'm a bigger prick with my own work. I'm ruthlessly self-critical and always looking to improve and alter and refine things. So, yeah. It's all coming along really cool. Obviously, this is bloody and kind of crusty right now, but next time you see it, it won't be. And I'll be showing this off again when it heals, obviously. So I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.